And welcome to another edition of Empowerment with Tunde Obaze. And today my guest is Donald Baker. Mr.
Good
Donald,
afternoon,
good afternoon, Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker is joining us here in Washington. Where are you at?
Lacey, Washington.
Lacey, Washington. Mr. Donald Baker is lovingly known as Coach Baker, a passionate. He's passionate about helping people age gracefully and combat preventable conditions. Coach Baker has 50 years of experience in the health industry with a focus on nutrition, strength training, and sustaining healthy psychological systems. Mr. Baker, in Mr. Baker's interest in biology started in his very early youthful age, encouraged by two men that loved him so dearly, his great uncle and grandfather. His focus on biology became keener in high school and encountered the tutelage of a college student by the name of Jim Landon. By then, he was hooked. I can even imagine that. I can feel it already. Mr. Baker pursued his education at Concordia University, where he received a Bachelor's of Science degree in physical education with a biology minor. He is a certified strength and condition um, specialist with the National Strength and Condition Association. Baker completed training from the Biotic Research Northwest on the efficiency of glandular use. There's just so much we can say about Mr. Baker, but I'll say today he'll rather just speak a whole lot about himself. We'll be talking about Mr. Baker. You can get more information about him. You can go to if you are with us on Facebook, say welcome. You can go to antiagingacademy.us, and also you can join us also in Anti-Aging Academy Facebook page if you're not with us on BRTVN or my page. So many places too. Again, I say welcome, Mr. Baker. Is there something you want to share with us? Just to start with, anti-aging, we all believe that we are all supposed to just age as the numbers climb with no control. Tell me.
That the numbers we have no control, but aging should be viewed as different than the numbers. In other words, you can certainly wind the clock faster by bad habits. So the Anti-Aging Academy is really designed to help people express and reteach you to express a youthful physiology and regain high levels of physical function. It's a great position. So aging, the number, absolutely, but the process and the conditions that are associated with aging, no, not necessarily. I want to help people reverse those things.
When you say you want to help people reverse those things, are these things, is aging not just natural? Is it not based on the environment and destiny and your genes? And sometimes it sounds like very miraculous when you say you can help people slow it down or reverse the process of aging. First of all, what is the word aging? I want to know because English, we learned it. I don't really understand it very well. What is aging? What takes place when something from the day is born or something start aging? What is going on?
Very good question. It's a good way to start. I will restate that the chronological aging, the timing, there's no stopping the time. However, there are certain conditions, we call them disease conditions, that tend to be associated with aging. The assumption is that these conditions will come naturally as a result of you becoming chronologically older. Uh, but we understand that with lifestyle in interventions, with changing certain habits, these diseases and these conditions are not inevitable. And that is what the Anti-Aging Academy is meaning to help people do, is to simply look at those conditions, look at what aging used to be thought of as, and help people redefine aging. So many conditions, heart disease, diabetes, certain cancers, arthritic conditions, sarcopenia, which we talk about today. All of these things are not inevitable. We can age uh, far more gracefully and far more vitally by making some really minor changes in lifestyle.
So you're telling me before the way they got to be the will, right? To make those changes.
It is a must to change your mind. When you change your mind and decide that something is very important and you're going to do it, now nothing gets in the way. But too many people today either assume that these conditions of aging will eventually catch them, or they are hoping to dodge them. This is an active process. You do not hope to dodge aging. This is an active process, and daily when you exercise, daily when you eat, daily when you think about tomorrow, about next week, about next year, uh, it is an active process to at least slow down and again, in many cases, reverse some of these conditions of aging.
Mr. Donald Baker is my guest, and we just call him Coach Baker and talk about life coach, talk about mental coach and physical coach. You in the last statement you mentioned something again that we want to talk about today, sarcopenia. What is that? And can you just what is sarcopenia?
Thank you. So sarcopenia literally is the wasting of flesh. From the Greek, sarco is uh, is is wasting, or sarco is flesh, and penia is wasting. So if you think and consider going to a nursing home and look at what quote unquote aged people look like, you will see frailty. You will see a shrinkage of muscle tissue. This is stark sarcopenia. So it's really a body mass. Uh, Important to say, lean body mass, more than just your muscles. Muscles very important, and we will certainly talk about it. But everything that is not fat on your body is considered lean body mass. So the most important bones, muscles, hair, skin, and nails, blood, and down the line. These are all lean body mass. When they begin to dwindle, now you start to see more and more signs of aging.
Is there a certain habit that accelerate aging more than the other? And can you
Excellent.
share?
Yeah. So, first off, by the time a person is 30, 30 years of age, if they're not actively pursuing activities to maintain or even improve their lean body mass, and again, specifically muscles and bones, if they're not actively pursuing activities to stimulate the maintenance or even improvement of those, then the process starts to begin very slowly, very gradually. And if you ask the average 50-year-old, they will say, I feel good, but I don't feel as good as I did when I was 30. You know, and very much of that can be attributed to their loss of energy. And again, energy comes from those lean body mass activities or those lean body mass tissues, primarily the muscle. So beginning at age 30, uh, there is a slow and gradual degrading if you're not actively pursuing strengthening and maintenance of muscle tissue.
That is what some people consider a miracle. How do you actively strengthen muscle tissues?
Well, strength training is my number one tool. I think it is one of the most safe and effective ways to actively approach maintaining or improving muscle tissue. Most athletics will provide you some benefit, but without gravity, swimming only gives you so much. Many people, because of pain, lose the ability to run their ankles, their knees, and their back. Running will certainly stimulate the body to maintain its bone and muscle tissue, but not to the same extent that a comprehensive strength and conditioning program will do, because we want to understand that your muscles are like children. They all need attention. Some of them more than others, just like children, but all of the muscles need attention. And the way you provide that attention is through your nervous system. So we will probably talk a lot about particular systems of the body. The nervous system provides the information, provides the stimulus. The muscles do the activity, and then they respond by becoming more prepared and better prepared for activity. But again, without active strength training and without a comprehensive program, it's likely that people are going to move in the direction of this wasting and what we call sarcopenia. Understand this: sarcopenia is still a new quote unquote condition concerning the medical field, only recognized and actually given a name and a medical code about 4 years ago, October 2016. So we have a long way to go.
Interesting. Um, for us, we're talking about ourselves, the human body. A lot of us, we know we exist. We know that we have a body, but really we don't understand what the bodies consist of. For you to fix it, you have to understand what it is. I'm a mechanic. So you deal, maybe you deal with a human body, but I can look at a computer, a motherboard, I can tell you what's in there. And I'm sure to the other person, that's just a bunch of junk. Can you elaborate more when we talk about the body composition, lean body mass? You referred to them earlier. Elaborate on them.
Absolutely. So the simplest way to understand how the body is separated is a two compartment system. You have lean body mass. I will mention again: muscles, bones, hair, skin, nails, blood, enzymes, hormones, neurotransmitters. All of these things are basically proteinaceous, and they are active and alive. The other compartment is the fat compartment. Uh, Fat, we understand, is active. However, when fat becomes, when the percentage becomes too high, body fat starts to send out very unwelcome and undesirable signals to the body as a whole. So just understand, I want listeners to understand, you have basically two compartments. There's your body fat, and then there is everything else. Everything else is active, it's alive, it requires metabolism, and it helps you to feel very, very young. Now, understand, is it okay to start to get to 0% body fat? Answer is no. Okay, so body fat has many important functions. It's just that in a industrialized and developed world, we know that there is an excess of body fat, and simply need to normalize that ratio between lean body mass and fat mass.
Then, how do you develop? What are your recommendations? If today I realize I'm very emaciated, most especially for those of us that have crossed over the age, and say now I want to start building, I have lost it. Give me an example. What are your recommended training? What do I need to do? What are the basic understanding do I need to have in my mind? Do I need to go see my doctor first? What do I need to do to start following the process that you think may bring me to recovery?
You bring up a very good point. Very first step, I think that individuals should get the approval and the okay from their medical doctors. So if there are conditions that a trainer or the individual need to address in putting together this exercise program, you want to understand upfront. However, when you have the clearance from the medical profession, the next step was to really expose yourself to a trainer, maybe even a physical therapist, so that you can understand what limitations you may or may not have. And then you'll set yourself a 3-month goal, a 1-year goal, and continue this evaluation process. Check in with your doctor, maybe once a year, maybe twice a year. Check it, and we want to ensure that certain metrics of aging are moving in the right direction. But yeah, very first, let's have an evaluation. Let's take a look at your metabolism, and if there are deficiencies, those things you have to understand going into the program. And then a qualified strength and conditioning specialist, a qualified trainer, uh, most physical therapists will understand how to construct a proper exercise program that includes endurance exercise, most people call that cardio, and strength training. With the combination of those two things, we can begin to address many of the conditions of aging, slow them down, and if they presently exist, very often they start to move in the other direction. So, this is what anti aging is at the core. It is not magic, it is simply doing what the medical community understands you should do. There are really very few of the top conditions that don't involve proper exercise, proper nutrition. The problem, many doctors don't understand exercise. And let's be clear, the doctors are very intelligent individuals. They're very well trained. However, they don't have nutrition or exercise physiology as part of their program. So we look at the metrics that they can help us with, and then you want to turn yourself over to someone who does understand these systems and how to apply them, because this is how the body is meant to operate. I want the folks to understand, today, human body is not uh, in position to thrive correctly with the lifestyle that's being imposed upon us. Technology has engineered activity out of our bodies, and this individual structure, this organism, is designed for movement. It's designed for good work, good hard work, but at the proper dose, and that's where a trained individual can help you to design the proper program, not too slow, not too fast.
If I have to, I know some people who've just joined us, and if I have to reach you, how do I reach you? Can you give out your website again?
Okay, yes, the website is antiagingacademy.us, and coach at antiagingacademy.us. This is the email. Glad to answer emails and glad to hear concerns.
In again, you mentioned something that the doctors are not trained in nutrition, and yes, I've had my doctor say exercise, and sometimes when I look at him, he looks so unfit. And do I go to my doctor to evaluate me? Because after checking with the doctor that I'm healthy to have a physical exercise, but the evaluation for a recovery, as we're talking about, maybe anti-aging, and because they may not help you with that. I don't think we maintain. I don't think we have health care in this country. We just try to prevent you from dying so quickly. Uh, uh, so, so where do I go to for a proper evaluation like you are talking about?
So again, I think that the blood work and basic physical exam that a physician can provide you, it's useful tool, very good place to start. Uh, and I want people to understand, that gives you confidence that you are starting in the right place. But from that position, doctors, they say go get active, but nothing specific. Your exercise program, strength training, and cardiovascular exercise is specific, and there are proper dosages, and you don't know those things. And again, doctors don't have physical. I'm sorry, they don't have uh, exercise physiology. They don't have nutrition. As a rule, there are probably some. If you can find a doctor trained in those fields, you're way ahead. But as soon as that information is provided, you take it, you try to educate yourself, and now you find either a physical therapist or a qualified strength and conditioning specialist or a trainer at a reputable gym, and now you have a good place to start.
What role does a proper nutrition plays in our development? Because you could exercise all you want, you could try to be as fit, but if you're not eating right, How does that affect your effort?
Well, people can people can easily understand the role of nutrition just by having one bad meal. One bad meal, you find yourself in an hour and a half falling asleep uncontrollably, and maybe you understand that this was the wrong thing to do. Uh, if you are continually tired, if you're accumulating extra body fat, these are all things uh, that you can certainly thwart and reverse with proper nutrition. So, proper nutrition, very, very important. People should understand that your food should be pleasurable, but maybe it's not the only reason that you eat. It's only for the pleasure. So there are some fundamentals that are required in nutrition. Love to talk about that at a different setting. But yeah, very important, this nutrition thing, and we could spend an interview talking about that. But proper timing of food, proper amounts, and making sure that you cover all the bases.
So I hear you talk about train with resistance, certain amount of time, approximately what, 3 weeks of. Is that also? Do you do it simultaneously? Do you nourish your cells before training or training before nourishment? What do you recommend people
Uh,
do?
yeah, that's a good question. I'm very biased, and let's understand that any trainer is going to have their bias. I'm very biased to have exercise done and completed before work. So this way, nothing gets in a way, nothing interrupts you from taking care of what you know you need to do, which is exercise. I like exercising first thing in the morning. If that's the case, it's likely that you want to equip yourself with maybe a very small amount of food, but not so much that it interrupts with your blood sugar, interrupts with your energy. However, the rest of the day, you attend very diligently to good rules of nutrition, proper timing of the meals, proper construction of the meals. So, really, before the exercise or after, it's not as important as being consistent day by day. Again, I'm very biased towards exercising in the morning. I think you get better access to body fat if you go to the gym with empty stomach. In fact, your insulin levels are lower. So you burn body fat pretty well. And then the rest of the day, uh, you've already got your exercise done. It is behind you. And now we just time our meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner with proper snacks and good timing in between. More of a daily routine than it is necessarily specific to before exercise or after exercise. But again, that's a little bit down the road. And you work with a trainer, you work with myself. Uh, we can dial that in and make it fit for each individual. It will certainly be different from individual to individual, but there are some essentials. Cover the essential bases on a daily basis. Cover those bases on a regular schedule.
Mr. Baker, we talked about nutrition, we talked about exercise, we talked about the what makes the difference between the different body types where you have some people with a very solid skeletal muscle. It doesn't, they have definitions. It doesn't matter how much they do, while some, they spend so much time in the gym, but they still don't feel anything. Can you explain to us what actually separate those groups of people for a better understanding?
Oh, very good. So in exercise physiology and anatomy, we understand in general there are three body types.
Yes.
Uh, there is a very slender individual that is called ectomorph. There is the athletic build, broad shoulders, small waist. They learn activities very fast. Coaches love them. Everybody else does not love them because they're they're anomalies. That's a mesomorph. And then you have the endomorph, people that have a tendency to be heavier and more round and more plump. So yeah, a qualified exercise trainer will certainly make adjustments for those body types when you construct the exercise program. It could be that the endomorph is going to require a little more endurance type training, and the ectomorph requires a little more of strength training. but there is a proper balance of strength and endurance. I do not suggest one over the other, and that's almost a lie because if you make me choose, I will suggest that strength training will cover a lot of bases. But just the same, uh, proper amount of cardio, proper amount of strength training, balance that out based on the individual's body type and certainly based on their long term goals. I like short term goals, maybe 3 months. Long term goals, a year down the road, 5 years down the road. Again, I encourage anyone listening, if you have a parent that lives in a nursing home or are about to go there, it's time to visit a nursing home and see what is there, see what people are doing. Uh, the longer we can avoid being in a nursing home, the longer we can maintain individual independence, the better. This comes from strength training.
Interesting. Is there something you like to share based on the questions? And I appreciate you allowing me that to just satisfy my curiosity. I think the reason I ask, if there is, please feel free to continue. But the reason I ask you some of those is that I've seen people trying to change themselves because they want to look like Sally or Joe, and by so doing, either starve themselves to death or punish their nature to, you know what, do you have a message for people like that? And as a coach, what would you recommend? What would you tell people?
Absolutely. Uh, and it's a very good question. People aspire to look like an actor or to look like an athlete. Uh, you have to do the best you can with what you have. Uh, 6 months ago, took a photograph with two acquaintances. And I've known these individuals for 25, 30 years. Um, Both of these guys are bigger guys.
Yeah.
They've been in the gym a long time, not as long as me. And this is the point I want to make. I usually have a 6 years on one individual and maybe 10 years on another individual. Both of these guys have not lifted weights as long as me, and they have a certain structure. Their structure is a very big structure. They make a very good bodybuilder. Uh, if if I was going to change my structure, I have to understand I can only change that within the limits of what I have. My structure, your skeleton will only allow for a certain amount of muscle. And on the same token, your physiology will only allow for you to lose body fat at a certain pace. You've got to be realistic, and maybe that is part of what the physician and certainly your trainer can help you to set a reasonable goal. It needs to be reasonable. But again, if strength training was going to make me a very big individual, I should be pretty big by now. And in fact, at my present age, I weigh about what I did when I arrived in college at about an 18-year-old. My structure is the same. You do the best with your structure. But again, changing your body, the body will change. Energy will go up, and you will see definition. Good things happen. But I'm very concerned that we look at things like blood sugar, and we look at things like proper cholesterol levels, and we look at these risk factors, cancer risk factors. This is why I want to have everybody start. If you start with me, you start with a blood test. And then you take this blood test, and your doctor looks it over. You have the record. We want to change the metrics that help you to live healthy and long. And your structure is your structure. Do the best you can. Another way to understand it, if you're a mechanic, there is no way to turn a Volkswagen into a Corvette.
That's a good one.
There's
Yeah.
no way to turn a Corvette into a SUV. Okay, the structure is the structure. And so we're going to do the best we can with that structure. And please, starting today, if it means today, you need to love your structure, love who you are. This is what you have. You've been blessed with this. Love that, and make it as successful and as robust as you can. But please, unrealistic is childish, and we want to do away with childish things.
What role has proper rest have to do, in addition to balanced activities, have to do with energizing one and refreshing one on a daily basis? We have today where a lot of us with the electricity and comfort. We work. We have our laptops with us to bed, and watching the television is right there, and I have multiples of my phones right by me, and I still hear their ding through the night. Sometimes I question whether I really have adequate rest. What role does rest have to do with your health?
You know, rest is the third leg of the pillars of Anti-Aging Academy. I have a statement called train, nourish, restore. Restoration is completely necessary. You have to restore energy. The body does a repair process very well when you are asleep. That's when the repair actually takes place. So, yeah, we must turn off the phone. You want to make your room as dark as possible. Go to bed at the same time. Arise at the same time. And now, again, it's a balancing act to get the right amount of exercise, not too much, not too little. Same with food, not too much, not too little. And rest, of course, not too much, not too little. Very, very important. Again, the tips I understand from brain specialists today: go to bed at the same time, uh, get up at the same time. Screens have to be turned off maybe an hour before bedtime. There's something with this light stimulation that makes the body think it's time to still be awake. Keep the room very, very dark, and hopefully, yeah, these are good tips. So the rest is crucial. That's when repair actually takes place. That's when the nutrients go to work to start fixing things.
Tell
So
me
very,
about tell me about reactive protein synthesis, improving strength and decreasing abdominal fat.
tell me again. Ask again, please.
So tell me about reactive protein synthesis, improve strength, decreasing abdominal fat. What are those? I see that in some of your vocabularies and some of your writings. What are those?
Excellent. So, protein synthesis, let's understand, and I hope the listeners understand, your body is under a continual breaking down and building up. It's called uh, anabolic is building up, and catabolic is tearing down. So the body needs to rid itself of tired and useless cells and tissues, and it needs to build itself back with hopefully stronger, more capable tissues. This is the value of strength training. Uh, People think that it only involves the muscle systems, but we're talking about an entire organism. And the value of strength training is you're going to cause systemic circulation. There's going to be blood going everywhere in the body. And what does this blood do? Carries the nutrients to the sites where protein synthesis needs to take place, where repair needs to take place. Carries waste products out so that they can be eliminated. So for me, I love cardio, I love swimming, but you can be so specific about driving blood into every nook and cranny of the body with strength training activity. And then you have this systemic circulation. It does a wonderful thing. So, yeah, protein synthesis, this is where the repair takes place. And we must understand the body is under continual tearing down, building back up. With strength training, you specifically are asking the body to become stronger and provide the nourishment, provide the rest. It's a magical thing. Belly fat has gotten very popular lately, and the reason is, again, I mentioned earlier in the show, fat tends to, when there is an excess, it sends out some very undesirable signals to the body, basically in the form of inflammation. And this is why belly fat needs to be controlled. But again, it's a metabolic situation. We need to balance our calories so that there's a slight or moderate deficit, and then just be consistent. Be very, very consistent. But belly fat is something that needs to be controlled because it starts to encroach on your organs. And those organs, again, if they become inflamed, you must understand, and I want the listeners to understand, inflammation is really uh, it's the first step in any disease condition. Besides injury, and certainly right after injury, inflammation is there. But there is this concept of systemic inflammation, and inflammation that is low grade but ongoing long term. And much of that can come from extra belly fat. So that needs to be addressed. And again, moderate calorie deficit, regular exercise, proper rest, and this is very achievable. Good health, very achievable. And again, you can start to reverse many of these quote unquote diseases of aging. There are really things that have to be addressed aggressively. And this is the position of the Anti Aging Academy.
For people who don't have a coach, how do they begin to, can they reach out to you? And if they want to, how do they contact you? Again, is
Yeah.
there.
I am glad to take individuals and provide some advice. Again, antiagingacademy.us, and services are available there. Wonderful, wonderful website. There's a lot of information, a lot of resource, and yeah, glad to work with your audience.
Having said that, I will say this. Let's just go back a little to this question here. I thought I had it, but um, give out your phone. Is there a phone number one could reach you, or is it just via web and via email?
Phone number 360-455-0849. Repeat, 360-455-0849. And listeners should understand, I do not accept texts. That is a direct line. And if you get voicemail, leave a voicemail. Speak clearly. I will call you back.
And your email again?
Email coach@antiagingacademy.us.
Coach@antiagingacademy.us. Coach, are there nutritional supplements? It's okay to eat a lot of bananas. There's some time I get so much cramp. I know quite right if I eat a whole herd of bananas, it will not help my situation. Are there, in addition to all of this good food, are there supplements, things that I can do to speed up the process?
Absolutely. We start with addressing any deficits in the everyday diet. And supplements are there to try to fill in the spaces and fill in gaps, if you will. If I'm recommending supplements, usually a very solid, high quality multivitamin, probably quality oil like fish oil. But again, today, I think people should check themselves on supplementing randomly and spending a lot of money on supplements that they're not sure about. The first step in the Anti-Aging Academy is to take a blood test. This blood test will provide my blood chemistry specialist at Biotics Northwest, Biotic Research Northwest, provides the information that suggests if an individual has some organ or cellular deficiencies. And their algorithms will recommend supplements based on your blood test. So rather than or in place of getting a blood test, you give it to the physician. Physician says, well, you want to take this drug or that drug. The Academy provides this service. I'll have this analyzed. Your blood test will be analyzed. If there are things that supplements can do to support you, then we're going to eliminate the random nature of supplements or reaching for something in the dark. It's a very authentic, very specific way to look at the blood work. So it should no longer be random. It should no longer be a guesswork. Your blood work will tell you which tissues and organs are fine, and if there are things that need some supplementing, you want to supplement with this in mind.
Coach, I can't help or can't let you go without remembering to ask you your take on the conditions where the epidemic we find ourselves today. Well, we're talking about health, COVID 19 and health, most especially among black and brown communities, the disappropriate nature in which people are dying versus the rich and maybe Caucasian family community. What's your take on it, and why do you think there's that disappropriate number of that in our community?
Wow. You know, your immune system requires proper support. And what you tend to find in uh, impoverished communities, I will say it this way, is they've got these, what do you call it, some kind of desert in the city where there are no real grocery stores. There's a nutrition desert. I've seen in many big cities where in the neighborhood the only store is the C store, the convenience store that's associated with the gas station.
Mm.
People become uh, habitually addicted to shopping and eating these very devitalized things I call former foods. This is not food. There's good taste. There's a certain amount of energy, but the diet is it's a debilitating diet, and many of the, as you say, black people, Hispanic people, anyone who is um, lacking either the education or the funds typically falls into a habit or a rut of eating things that just do not support what is essential for the body to repair itself and to heal itself. Again, reversible, yes, but now you talk about a process that's very near to addiction. These food items or former foods that are being consumed on a regular basis. Boy, we need to stop that and provide some essential nutrients, proper amount of water, and from there we can solve it. But that's a tough place to dig out from. But again, we can do this. It's very accomplishable. But disproportionately, yes, people of color are being hit with COVID-19, and I think it's uh, in many cases a lack of education, but mostly uh, it's a financial thing, and we need to expose ourselves to better food. It's an investment, yes. It costs a little more than eating nonsense, but these former foods, they are devitalized, very tasty, but they do not provide the raw materials for vibrant health, for growth and repair.
So, during this period, I'm sure they talked about immune system, boosting immune system, and everybody is running all over the place trying to find out what to take. And I thank God for great coaches like you being able to recommend something better than bleach and chloroquine. What what would you advise people to do at this time for safety, for immune boost, that we and just basic health guidance
I,
generally?
I have to go back to my previous statement. We need regular food. Uh, Many times you have to address what not to do as opposed to adding a magical supplement. So supplement is just that. Supplement is something you add to a good diet. You add a supplement to a good diet. Therefore, whole foods, fresh foods, lean proteins, adequate water. These things contain, or they should contain, the proper uh, vitamins and minerals. Before you add a supplement, please take care of your food first. But I like supplements. I take them myself, and this is why. To start with the Anti-Aging Academy, we start with a blood test. If there are glowing or glaring, I should say, glaring deficiencies, we can take care of those deficiencies. It is not a random thing. So, I mentioned before a solid multivitamin, extra vitamin C. Vitamin C is very popular. It's a good supplement for the most part. Very very safe. But this is a food game. Supplements will always be secondary. However, they can support you and build you up and help an awful lot. But first, take advantage of a blood test. Let's address some of these things that appear to be non. If you are non-symptomatic, you can still have hypertension. If you're non-symptomatic, you can still have higher blood sugar than you should. These things can be addressed with proper exercise and with proper nutrition. And again, a lot of resources at antiagingacademy.us. I encourage people to get comfortable and look around the site. There are plenty of resources, solid education, and the ability to contact me is there.
Some may think that just looking at your build, it may take a lot to get there and it must be very expensive. What would you say to somebody who just loved everything you have just said and just said, I wish he could be my coach, but I cannot afford him, and I don't even want to reach out to him because I don't want to embarrass myself?
You know, coaches by nature are understanding individuals. I deal with youngsters. I deal with adults. I'm a former health club owner. I've had phone calls many times, especially from the ladies. I'd like to get in better shape, but I'm not comfortable in the gym. And so many times I get people to say, okay, I understand. I will say, I understand. I make an appointment. And they come in, they get a free workout from me. At the end of the workout, I would always ask, okay, when we were exercising, did you find yourself gawking or looking at other people? No, you have to concentrate on the instructions. And my comment is that all of my members and many people that attend gyms are the same way. There are always going to be gawkers, but as a rule, this is a very friendly environment. The coaches, the trainers, even many of the members. It's a very helpful community. I think we need to get past that. It can be a helpful community, and you want to shop and find the right gym.
Do you do seminars and tours and retreats and all of those good stuff for those who either missed this program and looking forward to visiting or hearing you speak again or talk about health? What do you?
Okay, so the retreat concept is very, very important to the Anti-Aging Academy. I really believe there are people who are motivated. However, they need the opportunity to be removed or to remove themselves from their present environment to a different environment. So there are a number of places. Costa Rica is a very popular destination for me, but places like Santa Barbara, California, anywhere in the United States, if we can go to a different set of circumstances where I'm going to help you with the exercise, I'm going to help you with the nutrition, so that you can actually learn a new way of eating and a different way of exercising. The retreat concept is a great intervention. We can spend 3 or 4 days, we could spend a week, but we love to do it. In terms of speaking engagements, always available or can be available to speak to groups and various topics, but the topic, it needs to be pertinent to anti-aging, typically exercise, nutrition, or any of the tangents from exercise and nutrition. Very willing to entertain appointments to do those things, absolutely.
Again, since a lot of us are under lockdown, do you, a lot of us have found innovative way of communicating. Do you also do Zoom training or support group or whatever? Is that also available? I'm just wondering because I think I know a lot of people that could also want to retain you as a coach because so is there other ways that you do Zoom trainings and support?
We can do Zoom training. If we have people who have not exercised or people who have a gym and simply have not been able to access equipment, please go to antiagingacademy.us. The resource page has 3 YouTube exercise routines. need a very minimum amount of equipment. In fact, I mentioned I spent maybe $10 on the equipment. So uh, at your own house, there are plenty of things that you can do to at least maintain your fitness. Please check that out on the resource page. There are three separate YouTubes, one for upper body, one for your core, one for the lower body. In fact, I would love your listeners to try that out. Contact me, reach out, and I'd love to hear your comments about how the routine works for you, and well, maybe there are some modifications that we can make on a one-on-one basis. If there's motivation to do Zoom training, we can gladly arrange to do that. Love to.
Beautiful. Coach, I'll say now, having said that, I just don't want to miss out anything in the moment of my day. Give me what it's like when Coach first realized he's awake in the morning. Just like some of us do. Do you greet your toe? How do you wake up? How do you what? Give me just a swift routine of your day from the time you wake up to the evening for better health and better well-being, psychological. We didn't talk about the psychological. I'd like for you to talk more about that also, because I think it's a sound mind and a sound body. If your mind is not willing, I don't think the body will follow.
Well, this is true. My day always starts with I arise, I begin to hydrate immediately.
Mm.
In fact, I'm going to say most folks, when you get up, the first thing you do is you dehydrate.
Mm.
So we have to begin the rehydration process right away. I spend time there, listen to the radio. I'm beginning to hydrate, and again, because I like to exercise first thing in the morning, at a minimum, I will do some very moderate or easy cardio on a stationary bike. And from there, I follow with a low sugar breakfast, moderate protein, high vegetable, low sugar breakfast. And then I'm on about the day of doing appointments, taking care of business. And so every meal, I'm always cognizant of making sure that the right amount of vegetables, antioxidants, fiber, moderate protein, moderate fat. Sugar is your enemy. For the most part, we need to think in terms of sugar as being a childish thing to do. And it's unfortunate that children learn how to do it. But after a person is 5 or 6 years of age, stop thinking like a child. Sugar just needs to go away. Your food can be appetizing without it, and it's not a difficult thing. And sugar is just such a nasty culprit for many of the aging conditions that we have. But you mentioned the mind. We have to start out with loving ourselves. And you will, once you begin to exercise and start to see results, you will love yourself even more. The energy goes up, the attitude is better, and it's easy to go through your day, which is, again, why I'm very biased to do the exercise first thing in the morning. I've been telling people for years and years, when you retire, you become your full-time job. And I will encourage people to exercise more than once per day. Doesn't have to be hard, doesn't have to be long, but the exercise helps control blood sugar, helps to lift the mood. If you can do it twice a day, those are two opportunities to pull down blood sugar, to lift your mood. And of course, let's understand, when you're exercising, you are not eating.
Mm.
and if you're not eating, especially if you're not craving these former foods, you're going to go farther down the road with your anti-aging. But yeah, maintain good confidence, set realistic goals, and enjoy your life with movement. Enjoy your life with proper exercise.
Coach, is there, as just before I let you go, is there something you would like to share with my audience that I didn't ask?
You know, many people, there's one thing. Many people, again, I refer to the nursing home, assisted living. Anyone greater than 65 years of age, there is a statistic from University of Oklahoma School of Medicine says at least 40% of those people over 65 are going to fall once in a year. And once a person falls, they become more and more timid, especially if they are injured. They become more timid. It's more difficult to exercise. And the spiral begins to speed up and go too fast. You must think about exercise as the proper prevention for frailty, the proper prevention for sarcopenia. You must think in terms of maintaining your independence, your quality of life, and maintain the ability to do activities of daily living. Again, please, if you have a parent that's assisted living, visit, look around, and understand it's preventable. If you have a spouse, uh, this is something that you want to do as a team, and we can live better and longer. It's the best medicine.
Well, Coach, I want to thank you for helping and in empowering the people, and I hope they take you up on your words and take care of themselves. And if they think they can't, they just reach out to you. Please just
Please call me. Yes,
yes,
absolutely.
give out your website again, please.
Hey, please reach out. Antiagingacademy.us.
And
And
your email.
email is coach@antiagingacademy.us. Love to hear from you.
Beautiful. Until then, I said thank you for joining us on Empowerment Radio. My name is Tunde Obaze. And yes, antiagingacademy.us. We're talking about sarcopenia and anti-aging and all of that good stuff. I'll say, don't give your children wahala later on in life. Give them the gift of good health throughout. Until further notice, I say, peace.